Welcome to Knackerbox Garage, a Scratchy Pants production.
Yeah, I know. I said I was going to do the KTM next, and what's on the bench is my Tiger. And the reason my Tiger's on the bench is because I've got to clear the service warning light because it's elapsed over time because we haven't been out on the road together for a few months because of the weather. And I started recording it. Sorry, look at me. I'll look at you rather. I started recording it, and the battery went flat. So I'm going to do it again. So what you've got to imagine is if I turned on the dash and we looked at the dash on this thing. You'd see the service wrench come up about here. The big orange service wrench saying service. And I'm going to reset that. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use this, my ODBD link, and this, my phone. Using a piece of software called TuneECU, which looks like that. Well, that's the icon. Anyway, I need to pull the seat off and plug a few things in, so we'll do that, and I'll move to the chest mount, hopefully, so you can actually follow along while I talk and do it, and you can see how easy it is to do. Right, let's see how this works. So, I'll take the seat off. I'm going to have to take the tail bag off, actually. Let me just pop this off, and get you off. And get you off. There we go. Put that on my long-suffering Bonneville. Right. Seat off. Seat on the ground. There we go. So I can trip over it. Right. So the thing that we're after now is we're after this, which is the OBD port. I'm going to pull that out. Take the OBD link, plug it in, and it should, yeah, it's got power and it's connected. Now I'm going to turn the bike on. I'm going to start whiling away at me. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to open TuneECU. And we'll do ECU connect. And it's going to connect to my bike. There it is. It's connecting. We'll go ECU, test and adjustments, and then reset service interval. And then I want to do it in miles, and I actually want to do it in 3,000 miles from now. So let's do that. So validate. Today's date is Friday. It's not 2027. It is Thursday the 12th. Why are you doing that? I don't want you to do that. I want you to do... It was a pain because it did it to this. Okay, oh, I guess that's when it's going to do it. All right, well, let's go with that then. Confirm. There we go. Done. That's it. And of course, if we have a look, so you're plugged in. You're attached to my chest, so it makes it difficult. The light's gone out, but it wasn't there in the first place. So now we just turn off the bike, wait for it to shut down. We'll disconnect the ECU. This now only has the two lights on it. Pull it out, put it back in its little holder, and that is it. And then I'm stepping backwards, and I can feel the seat at the back of my leg. So I'm not going to go back any further. While I got the seat off, it's always handy to look. Lots of people are reporting cracks on these bikes where the rear subframe is attached around here. So I don't ride with this really loaded up over really heavy stuff. So I'm really not expecting to find anything. and as luck would have it, there isn't anything, so it's good. Anyway, that's resetting the service light on my Tiger. So hello, my good friends, my former, well, I guess my bike club committee when I used to be chairman. I resigned this year from the New England Triumph Owners Club as chairman after nearly 7 years. Bought me a leaving gift. They bought me this, a Wagner hot air gun, because they were kind of bemused at watching me use the Mega Hot. What I'm sure they didn't really know was that I have also a Wagner hot air gun. So now I have two. Dueling. Thank you guys, really appreciate it. I know you probably didn't know I already had one of these, but you can't have too many good tools. And that is a good tool, and I will use it, and I will make sure that I keep it handy for when this one burns out. Thank you very much. So one of the things with my Bonneville, and I realise this is darting around a little bit, but one of the things with my Bonneville is it's got this electronic speedo, because the original clocks were damaged and beaten up, and they look terrible. So I bought this Trailtech. It's a Trailtech Vapor. It uses a magnet that's set into the front brake disc somewhere. Just there, look. That's it, that's the sensor. Sorry, that's the magnet. The sensor is here, drilled into the caliper mount, and it senses every time you go over it. So if we roll it backwards and forwards, I should get a pulse. There it goes. And now it's reading and working. Now it is supplied, does get power supply from the battery when the engine's running, when I turn the ignition on. But there's also has a small little battery that is the backup. And what happens after a period of time is that battery goes flat. So what I need to do is to take off my tool bag so I can get under it, and I need to put a new battery in, because it's the time of year to put in a new battery. The battery lasts about 18 months, but when it goes you lose the settings and everything. So take the tool roll off and put that somewhere, and then what you can see, this is not done a really good super job with the wiring, but these little guys need to be unscrewed. This pops off, and then I can unscrew it and put a new battery in. So that's what I'm going to do. But when I do that and I swap the battery out, I need to turn the ignition on. See, it's all lit up now, because I need it powered so I don't lose the memory in it. So I'm going to unscrew this, then we'll turn the power on, and I'll swap the battery, and you'll watch me swap a battery. Thrilling. Alright, should be looking at the back of the unit. So this is where the battery is. I'm going to turn the lights on and the power on. I don't have a coin in my pocket, so I'm going to use that. But that works. Unscrew this guy. And I've got to try and be very careful not to, just going to put those there, not to lose the, come on, out you come. There he is. There goes the old one, ethically recycled. Here is the new one. I'm pulling out the packet. Put that in there. Put that guy on. And then use this to tighten him up. There we go. Should still be on, yep. And the mileage stays. So now, if we have a look, I've still got my distance, the time's right, temperature's good, and I'm guessing the calculation for the distance of the rotation of the wheel to calculate the speed is good, which is the thing I really don't want to lose. So now it's a case of doing up these screws and putting it back together. So I'll quickly start these off by hand, if I can. That's that one. Get that one in. Yeah, there we go. That's it. And I'm really happy with this Trailtech unit. The BSA has a GPS bicycle speedo. No, that's rubbish. The Rickman has a GPS bicycle speedo because California bikes bizarrely don't need speedos or odometers or anything. Well, that particular bike didn't for the county it was in. So it didn't have, it only had a rear brake light switch. It didn't have a speedo, didn't have turn signals. And because the frame's 2012, here in Massachusetts, I have to have front and rear brake switch, turn signals, speedo, odo, all that kind of stuff. So the easiest way to do it was with a GPS rechargeable bicycle speedo. Right, this is going to be painful for me to watch. So just know that I'm going to tighten those up. So, excuse the compressor running. We've had a little bit of a change around. I had a very interesting issue with the Moto Guzzi when I started the other day and it wouldn't start. And it churned 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 really well, so it was going really fast, and I just couldn't get it to fire. Pulled the plugs out, earthed the plugs out, big fat spark, so that's ignition's all good. Turns out both pilot jets were blocked with, I can only assume it's gas line fragments, little black crumbly dust effectively that accumulated in the pilot jets. So I've cleaned those out. I have got it running. I fired it up moments ago, didn't video it, but actually I did. I got it on my phone, so insert video clip of the Guzzi running here. And now what I'm going to do is the last thing that I really need to get running, because I have a ride coming up in like inside of 4 weeks, is the B44 25 69 mix, which for those of you who don't know is a B25 with a B44 engine and a B50 gas tank. So that would be a B119 if you add them all together. Yeah, so this is my $1,000 challenge bike. My trusty B44 engine B25. Basically, I just haven't run it, so I need to go through it. I know not so long ago I went through it. One of the things that I do need to do, I think the battery's good. Yeah, that's good. Headlights on. Yeah, dippy, that's good. What do I need to do? I would love to put a front brake light switch on it. And I keep looking at these beautiful Magura. Are they Magura? Oh no, they're domino levers, I think. And I don't know, I don't think there's a way of easily putting a switch in there. And I don't really know how else to do it. So I'm going to look at a setup that's similar to this. These are Magura levers. This is a brake light switch. This was already on, and you can see this is what I've got on the Ricky, and I'd love to have that on this. I don't really want to buy new levers though, because these are lovely, and they work really well, and I know that's the clutch, and I was looking at the front brake to see, or to the perch to see if there was a way of putting one in there. I may pull it off and see if I can put a little nobule in there and drill through, maybe make some kind of mount. That would be cool. I've got to be careful with the decompressor though, because that's, you know, that's here, so I don't want to foul that. Could always slide it forward a bit. Yeah, so this is the next. Man, it's got a lot of compression, this thing. Oh God, come on, go past. Well, at least we know it's good. Yeah, so that's possibly what'll be next, the front brake light switch. I've got the wires, all the connections here ready and waiting, although I'll probably I don't know whether they're connected up in here. I think the last thing I did on this was my ammeter fell out on the last $1,000 challenge, so that's a bit of I think it's a cat tin lid. Pretty sure it is a cat food tin lid that's been cut and stuck in there with JB weld and then cunningly painted really badly. And then I talked about replacing these indicators with like fancy little LEDs like this guy, but I do believe these work pretty well. Let's see. Yeah, I think they're bright enough. I don't think I need to do anything there. So yeah, so that's that. Let me turn this off. So this is going to be our next thing. Recommissioning of this. I don't think there's much to it, because I think it all works. Horn works, lights work, turn signals work. I just got to go through the fluids. I think everything's good. I'm pretty sure there's enough tranny fluid in the primary. I know there's enough engine oil in it, so I looked at that yesterday. Maybe the carb needs a bit of a clean out, but I've not really. I typically run it dry, so maybe I'll just pull the bottom off, see what state that's in. Yeah, so this will be next, and then as soon as it gets warm, we've got like 3 bikes to ride for our next ride series. So we'll do that. Hopefully this episode isn't a lot of me talking, holding the camera with bikes in the background, because that's not very interesting for anybody, myself included. Yo, not going to stop long today because we're going out. Anyway, back on the Guzzi. So what's happening is we're not starting. We're not starting at all well. And I've been through the carbs twice, and I thought, you know, I might as well read the Del Auto tuning manual, which probably was a great idea, because what it's pointing me to is there's a little breather here, just up there, and that's on the air circuit. So this is the enrichner circuit. I've cleaned these carbs, or so I thought. I've been through them so many times. I had no idea this hole is here, and the purpose of this hole is when you flip this up, you should get fuel flowing through here, but you should also get air coming down through there. I don't know whether that's open or not. There's also a little vent hole here as well. I think that's a vent hole. I don't know if they're clear, clean, or whatever. Remembering that this bike is 50 years old, near enough, 75. Yeah, it's 50 years old. So I don't know whether these carbs have been through a cleaner. I don't know. I know it hasn't done much in the way of miles, but you know, grime and grit and dirt and dust. I don't know how clean these are, and I'd not really blown these through. So it is my desire to pull the carbs off again, go through all the holes, which will mean taking out the screws and figuring out whether I'm putting them back in again, which means carb balancing and all that other wonderful stuff I said I wouldn't need to do. Maybe I'll leave these where they are. I also want to check the needle positions, because I'm not sure that they're in the correct place. The issue with it is it's really tough to start when cold. It kind of like, it's almost like you want to leave the gas on, the fuel, and leave it for half an hour and then come back to it. And then it churns and churns and churns and then coughs and churns and coughs. And then eventually it goes. Once it's hot and you've run fuel through it, taking it for a little ride, like we went to a motorcycle event this past Saturday, which was yesterday actually, and I left the bike for 45 minutes, went to it, turned the gas on, hit the starter, just boom, and away it went. And it was great. So I need to figure that cold starting thing. I know they're supposed to be in like a cold. People who've got them have told me they're cold-hearted, you know, i.e. they don't like starting from cold. Endlessly churning on the starter is not right. So I need to fix that. The other thing is going from like 8 throttle to quarter throttle. And I know this has rudimentary accelerator pumps in it, so there shouldn't be a gap, but it kind of, it's like it's gasping for fuel. Once you got past a quarter and you've got the throttle open and the revs up, it runs great. So I'm going to take the accelerator pumps apart. There's rudimentary accelerator pumps that are driven off the carb needles. As you open up, the carb needle is supposed to lift up and squirt juice directly into the intake. You're also supposed to be able to like wind the throttle open and close 2 or 3 times to work like a tickler on a British bike to just get raw fuel in so it'll fire, but it doesn't seem to work. So I thought I'd clean these things. I don't know whether I have. I also don't know what happened with the previous owner, because I know that my pilot and my main jets were around the wrong way. So realistically, what kind of state are my accelerator pumps in? I've never looked. So carbs off again, gonna take it apart. I'll probably end up buying a new service kit as well for each one. We'll check the needle positions. I want to try and figure out whether the accelerator pumps work. I'm also going to replace this black plastic or this black rubber fuel line. You can't sit on this one. When I took the carbs apart last time, you can just see I've got little bits of black fragments at the bottom here of this fuel filter. My pilot jet on this side was blocked with black debris from the fuel lines. So what I'm going to do is going to use this stuff. I've got it on all the other bikes. I'm going to use this because it doesn't chafe or leave fragments in the fuel. There's a little X crossover down there that's used for the fuel so that the left and right fuel lines can feed to each other. It's a bit tight on this one, as you can see, because we've got the fuel inlet there, but I think I can play around with it and replicate these. I should have enough in this one piece to do all that, so you know, make them a little bit longer. And I've got the dirt bike shop up the road, so I can probably go and buy a few more legs there as well. Anyway, that's a quick update. Once I get the carbs off, we'll come back. So, Moto Guzzi fans, I think I've figured out what the issue is. So I've pulled the carbs off again. This must be like the 5th or 6th time. This is the accelerator pump. It sits in there. The carb is upside down. And what had happened is, I think the previous owner had taken this apart and put this non-return valve in the wrong way up. So no fuel was going in. It was the non-return valve was in the non-flow phase. So as the needle came up, as you open it up, this is spring loaded, and it slides up and is supposed to squirt and inject fuel up as an enriching device. It wasn't working. The non-return valve was in the way that it would go down and pump fuel down, but it wouldn't pump any fuel up. So I have had slightly hesitant running on this, like initial throttle opening, it's been kind of gaspy, so I kind of have to lean it in wildly. And when I took these apart, everybody says don't take these apart, they're a pain in the arse. I now assume they're probably talking about these things, which is the check valve. Put in the right way round, which that goes in there with a spring behind it and then the main jet on top of that, would work perfectly. I'm also hoping this is going to cure my my starting issues. So I'm going to reassemble this correctly. I actually had correctly put it all back together and thought, oh, I should probably video that. So I'm going to put it all back together the right way round, like that. with the spring on and the end on, put it back in, put it all back together, and then put the car back on the bike. I've already done this one, the right hand one. So now I'm going to do the left hand one. I'm going to put my little octopus back in. That sort of goes in there like that. And we'll be good. So hopefully I found it. So we'll slowly put this all back together, and then we'll try a start and see if that's the thing.